What's up guys, Houndish here, and today I've got some Destiny 2 stuff to talk about. So we know that there is going to be a midnight launch for Destiny. On top of this, we've got some information about character customization and migration into Destiny 2. Activision's earnings calls have shown that Destiny 2 is doing very well, and we've got some additional little bits of information about expansions and DLC, as well as some other stuff to talk about. So firstly, I wanted to talk about the launch for Destiny 2. So of course, it comes out on the 6th of September 2017, and this will be the console versions of the game. A while back in an interview, Mark Noseworthy actually confirmed that there will be a rolling midnight launch for Destiny 2. This is something which some of you may have heard about, but it hasn't really been spoken about all that much. And they say rolling midnight launch. So presumably this actually means the game will be releasing per time zone at midnight for the 6th of September. So that would mean technically for me in the UK, I would be getting the game 6 or 8 hours before you guys in the US would get the game at launch. And this does absolutely happen with some games. The benefit of this for a game like Destiny is that you're not just dumping tons of people onto various servers, you know, all around the world at the same time. Back in Rise of Iron, of course, the game launched at the same time everywhere, and the servers absolutely exploded. It was a bit of a nightmare. And obviously having a launch which is staggered is a little bit frustrating for some folks, you know, knowing that people are playing the game like 12 hours before they can have access to it or something like that. But again, if this is the case, the benefit is that the game doesn't just crash and kind of freak out because, you know, this is Destiny 2. Imagine everybody hitting those servers at the exact same time. That would be absolutely ridiculous. Of course, there is a possibility that the game will have just a set launch time, you know, which would probably be midnight Pacific time. But from what we've heard in this particular interview, which was a YouTube live interview about Destiny 2, it looks like we will have a midnight rollout system per time zone around the world. As far as preloading the game goes, it's something which we can anticipate is going to happen. Xbox haven't confirmed any details, but on the PlayStation Store, if you look at the countdown for the game, it does actually say expected to begin auto download on the 4th of September, which is of course 2 days before the game launches. So I think really Xbox and PS4 are likely to see, you know, a preload period of around about 48 hours before the game actually launches. Up next, I wanted to talk about character customization in Destiny 2, some new information we've got about that, as well as character migration for Destiny 2. So, if you are a Destiny player already, your characters have already been imported. So on the 1st of August, Bungie actually took our character data and brought it over to Destiny 2. Any changes which happen now, so if you go ahead and delete one of your characters and make a new one, that character won't be recognized in Destiny 2. The 1st of August was the cutoff point. We have learned what character migration actually means for Destiny 2. So they will be importing character classes, race and gender selections, as well as face, hair and marking selections, and the character creation date to Destiny 2. So that is actually pretty cool. I think that kind of gives us a little bit of a hint to what Bungie was saying. One of the characters created, I believe it was a screenshot of an event build or something like that. It actually said character created in, it was either like the 90s or the 70s. It was like way before Destiny either way. Point being, in Destiny 2, you know, if you jump on your main character when the game launches in September, it will actually say the original date that you created that character, which I think is really, really cool. You know, 3 years later in Destiny 2, if they're still supporting that game, we'll be looking back at our characters that were created in 2014 potentially, so that is pretty awesome. But also in the character migration are accomplishments for Destiny 1, and these include a bunch of emblems that you can unlock in Destiny 2, which have already been detailed. Of course, the cutoff point for that was also the 1st of August. But this is where it gets pretty interesting. We know, of course, there will be some kind of character creation system in Destiny 2. We haven't actually seen any of that yet. But if you already have existing characters, there is a pretty interesting bit of information here. So there's a question on the frequently asked questions that says, will players be able to edit their migrated characters customization options in Destiny 2? And the answer is no. There is currently no plan to allow players to edit the customization options of an imported character. So if you are bringing in your old characters, you're not going to be able to bring them in and make adjustments in the new character editor. If you want to actually build a fresh character, you will have to wait until we're playing Destiny 2 and then actually delete a character and start again, which I think is a little bit of a shame. It would be nice to kind of update them on the fly, considering the kind of character creator is going to be in the game. That also may confirm that there are no kind of alternative visual options, you know, so no new hairstyles or no new facial markings or anything like that, because if there was, they'd basically be locking old players out of being able to use any of the kind of, you know, new visual elements, whatever they may be. So maybe we're going to see the exact same character creation options that we saw in Destiny 1. We'll have to wait until we get more details. There's an interesting question here. So will an account's silver balance or Eververse purchases be included in the account migration? And the answer is no. The silver balance and Eververse purchases of a player's account will not be imported into Destiny 2 by the migration process. So again, pretty interesting right there, on top of the fact that we saw the Eververse kind of booth in the farm social space in the beta. This definitely confirms that microtransactions are still going to be a thing, and you won't be able to take any of your currency or items over to Destiny 2, which is definitely disappointing to a degree. We have the information though, Eververse is returning. Microtransactions are just kind of something that we've learned to live with, I suppose. Up next, in the Activision's earning call yesterday, we learned plenty of interesting stuff. Destiny 2 has more pre-orders than Destiny 1 did. There were more beta players in Destiny 2 than there were in Destiny 1, and it's looking like there are over 1 million pre-orders for Destiny 2 on PC, which is fairly incredible. Eric Hirschberg from Activision said there are a lot of positive signs about Destiny 2, and Activision have a tremendous amount of confidence in it. He added that the game's development cycle is continuing to close very strong. And he says, finally, and maybe most importantly with a game like this, Destiny is so engaging that the follow-on content is almost as important, if not as important, as the main game. And Activision have been widening the stable of developers to keep up with the demand for more content. Of course, we know that there are other studios working on DLC for Destiny 2. We're anticipating the first expansion late this year, so hopefully in December, and then another expansion early in 2018, which is definitely a lot of content considering this is a brand new game as well. But there is even more promising indicators from Bungie. So Dan Miller, who is a creative lead at Bungie on LinkedIn, has actually had himself listed as an expansion creative lead for Destiny 2, and this began in October of 2016, so that's getting on for a year of having a dedicated Destiny 2 DLC team. They have been producing this stuff for nearly a year already, so definitely a very good sign. The earlier they get this, you know, first set of kind of expansions out of the way, the sooner they can focus on other content. And again, they're also working with those other studios. If we could see another 2 expansions in 2018, that would be absolutely incredible. Somewhere along the scope of what we saw in Rise of Iron, obviously with multiple improvements. I mean, they've kind of got 2 expansions packed into the first sort of half of the year for Destiny 2 by the looks of things. So we could see 4 expansions a year, the 4th one being the year 2 kind of Taken King equivalent DLC, I guess. So finally, I wanted to mention a brief interview with Luke Smith where he spoke about some of the kind of unique world first type rewards in Destiny 2, and he said there are a lot of opportunities for them to look at the type of players in the game and think about, you know, you're the best in your city or you're the best in your tower or whatever. And they're basically talking about vanity items and kind of prowess, you being able to show off the things that you've done in the game. But he says they're trying to focus on it in a localized competition kind of way. So, you know, ultimately when you think of something like a leaderboard, he did confirm that they're not doing anything with leaderboards in-game for Destiny 2, which is pretty interesting. So this is just an example, but you have to think of it like a leaderboard inside of a clan or a group. Most players aren't really bothered about who the world first is for something. You know, if they're number 10,000 or something in the world, they're really focusing on who is around them. And they say they want to get stuff like that right within the clans, within the social spaces of the game. So that's definitely very interesting. We'll have to see what kind of things they implement down the road for that. This was actually a pretty interesting interview in the Financial Post, which I will link in the description below. There's a lot of the kind of approach and mindset that they have for the game that they talk about in here, so you should definitely check that out if you're interested. For now though, I think that about sums up this video, guys. Just a quick look at a few bits and bobs you may have missed. So let me know in the comments any thoughts you have about this stuff. If you have enjoyed the video, a like is very much appreciated, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe to see a lot more Destiny 2 content. But for now, have an awesome day.